ik ben Hans Flambeau, hoofdredacteur van Database Magazine. En dit keer is de gast op BI-platform the father of data warehousing as we know it, Mr. Bill Inmon. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
My first question to you will be, why would anyone like to put unstructured data in a data warehouse?
It's pretty simple. It's because some of the most valuable data in the corporation is in the form of unstructured data.
Can you give some examples of that?
Certainly. Contracts data is very important. Email contains a lot of very important data. Warranties, medical, healthcare data, those are all rich sources of very valuable textual information.
Mm-hmm. And is there a way to put this textual data into a data warehouse?
There is technology now called Textual ETL, and it's with Textual ETL that you can read any source of text, do the work that's necessary, and put it into any relational database management system that you want.
Is that database next to the data warehouse, or is it connected? Is it integrated?
That's an interesting question. You see, in some cases, the data exists by itself and is its own data warehouse. In other cases, it exists in conjunction with structured data that's already in the data warehouse. It really kind of depends upon the nature of the business of the corporation and the nature of the unstructured data as to exactly how it's built.
And if it's in two separated databases, how would you connect the two?
When you think about connecting unstructured and structured data, you do so by key values. The interesting thing is the key values can actually take lots of different forms, and if there is any magic, it's in the ability to take those different forms of data and make the connection between structured and unstructured.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it much easier to put an enterprise search tool over it?
Enterprise search is kind of interesting because enterprise search indeed is one way to connect different forms of data together. The problem with enterprise search is that it doesn't go to the level of depth of data that's necessary. Let me give you a quick example. Suppose we want to look up something like the different cars that are in a document, and we have Porsches and Volkswagens and Fords and other types of cars. The problem is that we want to address the cars as a car, not as a specific brand of car. So here's where we need to look at data at a categorized level. And the problem with searches is that searches normally don't have the sophistication to include the categorization that you need. Because you see, when you're dealing with your textual data, you need lots of different kinds of categorizations. So, a search engine is adequate for doing some forms of relating textual data together, but at a more profound level, search is not qualified to do that kind of processing.
Why wouldn't you use an enterprise content management system and connect that to the data warehouse?
Well, you see, enterprise content management, ECM as it's known, has this nasty habit of turning into what we call a dead letter office. That corporations install ECM, and it's always a one-way street into ECM. That once the data resides in ECM, taking that data, pulling it out, doing all of the necessary work to edit, manipulate, and refine the data, that's what's necessary to put it into a data warehouse or database that can be queried. And so in case after case, we've seen organizations that have installed ECM and then 5 years later have never gone in and looked at the data in ECM. We tell people such as Documentum, FileNet, Stellent, and others that we emancipate their data. We're able to go in there, read the data that's been stored in ECM, and now put it into a form that's useful for analytical processing.
Mm-hmm. To put this textual data into a data warehouse, you need special techniques, special methods. Where can people find information about that methods and that techniques?
Well, you indeed are correct that when you go to the point of taking text and doing the many things to text that need to be done, first off, there are many things that need to be done, not just one thing that needs to be done. If you're really interested in the subject, there is a book out called Integrating Unstructured Information by Prentice Hall that came out 3 years ago. And we have another book called Building the Unstructured Data Warehouse that will be coming out next year.
Is that book the successor to DW 2.0?
That is correct. That DW 2.0 was a good description of the architecture of the information infrastructure that you need, but the works that come after it are a description of actually what needs to be done to the text in order to produce it into a form that's useful for a relational database.
Thanks very much, Bill, for being our guest.
A real pleasure to be here.